Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the FIA Formula 1 Championship Round 7 at Montreal, Canada. And it's a race full of controversy and probably sort of a bad image on how modern Formula 1 is. Now, just go back to the start of the weekend, go back to qualifying. Ferrari needed a response, and this we think would be the track they do it on, since they've had a power advantage, and this is a very power-hungry circuit. But Hamilton with a new upgraded Mercedes, sorry, with a new upgraded engine, sort of made a match for them, even though they thought they'd be behind by at least half a second. So they're obviously new upgraded engine, bringing them back up to relevance, but it proved that Vettel managed to steal pole from Hamilton when it was usually the other way around. So and Verstappen getting caught out in qualifying, and Leclerc coming third behind Hamilton. Now, there was problems with Hamilton's car before the start. There was hydraulic issues. They had to bleed the brakes. I believe they had to do that on the grid. So they had to put a monumental effort to get Hamilton actually on the grid. Um, but it was a good start all the way up, all made by the top three. Even though Hamilton did not take well off the formation lap, they all got away pretty well. Albon losing his front wing, Grosjean having to take the escape road. Um, it's all pretty much all about escape roads in this race. Got to about lap 4, Norris overheated his brakes and pretty much didn't even hit a wall or anything. Just melted the suspension, which proves how much you need your brakes in this race. It's very hard on brakes and engines. So yeah, obviously early stops with people on the soft tyres, not using the tyres, not lasting very long. Yeah, but the Renault seemed to manage fine with their tyres, especially with Hulkenberg lasting 15 laps, or most people stopped around about lap 7, lap 8. But out of the top three, obviously it turned into pretty much a race for by the top three. It was the leader who decided to pit first. Hamilton responded and came out behind. Leclerc was decided to run long, but it proved that that wasn't going to be a good strategy for him. So yeah, so in terms of Bottas, who's pretty much Hamilton's next contender in the championship, he didn't have a very good race at all. Got stuck behind the Renaults, obviously because of bad qualifying. Pitted later than pretty much everyone else, but still ended up behind Ricciardo, and it really just his whole race was pretty much ruined by that behind the traffic. But we got to after the pit stops, Vettel seemed it was either fueling issues, which he mentioned in the press conference afterwards, or whether he was struggling on his tyres, but Hamilton was catching him at a pace. And it just shows how relentless Hamilton is in terms of trying to stay in front of him. If he's behind someone, he will relentlessly just pursue you right for lap after lap, and it's some of the pressure is just intense. And it forced Vettel and again into another forced error, and coming up to turn 3 and 4. You've got a very tight sort of window of it's sort of like a tunnel. There's only really one path to it, so he goes off onto the grass. Obviously, being on the grass, you lose pretty much all grip from your car. especially from the tyres, and it's all dirty and horrible. And he gets out, and he can then see, he did apparently see that Hamilton was there as he come through and tried to leave as much space as he could, but he couldn't. He left pretty much Hamilton having to back out, and in the end, the FIA's hands were tied because they're over regulation, and because the regulation states that if you leave the track, you have to rejoin the track in a manner that does not make another car have to back out or veer or cause some sort of collision. Some people are leaving comments on YouTube and Twitter. A lot of people are angry about this, and I get their point. They want to see racing, but if the regulations state that for that race, they can't just ignore it. They can't just go, well, yeah, it broke that rule, but we'll let them off because they're trying to race each other. Some people compared it to Hamilton last year when he went across the pit entry in Germany. The difference between that and what Vettel did is because Hamilton was never one, he joined off the racing line, whereas Vettel veered onto the racing line. You can't just come straight back onto the racing line. You have to come back offline and then rejoin it in a safe manner. Hamilton had no one behind him, so he didn't endanger another car or another driver. That's also what it states in the rules. So the FIA said, well, you cut the corner, right, and that's a reprimand, but we can't give you a 5-second penalty because you've not actually caused anything unsafe. It's to make the racing safer. But again, people say that takes away the racing part. So there's two arguments, and there's a fair point either side. What I will say is that as Hamilton does win, and of course Vettel has every right to be fuming because he feels like he's had a race stolen from him, and I get his reaction. In the end, he has to look at himself as well, because it's again another unforced error made by Vettel. I mean, how many times has he made these errors over the last 2 years? How many errors has he made? Well, you can even count the end of 2017 as well. Singapore 2017. You've got Baku 2018, where he went in too deep into the first corner. You've then got Germany, obviously everyone knows about, where he lost control under pressure because of a rampant Hamilton coming back through the field. You've also got to look at France 2018 as well. Took out Bottas at the first turn. You then got Japan spins after Max Verstappen after desperate move. Italy 2018. You've then got USA 2018. 2019, you've then got Bahrain, spanning Bahrain whilst having a fight with Hamilton. And now this. If he doesn't make that mistake, he does not leave himself open to getting a penalty. Right? It's like in the end, he's made the mistake. If he doesn't make the mistake, he doesn't end up in that situation. That's the thing he must take from that. what I also will say is on the podium, the Canadian fans, I have every sympathy of them being angry because they want to see a race. And it was an epic battle between the two of them. Two of the best drivers on the grid. 9 championships. 9 championships between them. And yet they feel they've had a race between them two stolen. I get that. Even Hamilton didn't have to push to the end. He could have just sat there and sat back. He tried to keep going and push Vettel because he wanted to do it the right way. He doesn't want to win like that. He wants to win fairly and squarely. So he tried to make the move still, but his tyres were then gone. Booing Hamilton is wrong. Utter wrong. On any level. I don't care how angry you are. It's not his fault. Since when Hamilton was the FIA, right? You want to boo anyone, go to the steward's office, go stand outside FIA's control at the end of the pit lane, boo at them. Because they're the ones that have done it. Hamilton, you should know everyone as an F1 fan should know if Hamilton in Formula One, he wants to win a race by beating them fair and squarely. Not by penalties or handing favours by the FIA. He wants to beat them fairly and squarely. Especially when back in 2008, he was told by Charlie Whiting and the stewards, after letting Kimi by and then overtaking him again, that was fine. And then at the end of the race, was then told, no, it's not fine, you've been penalised. So he knows what it's like to have a race like that stolen away from you. But there's no reason to boo Hamilton or Mercedes, right? Because Mercedes have every right to go and say, well, that's part of the regulations. That's breach of regulation. But they don't make the decisions. And I fully respect Vettel again for coming out and say on the podium and say it is wrong to boo Hamilton. He's not the decision maker, right? And immediately you heard the Canadian fans shut up. They immediately shut up, like guilty. So, yes, feel probably disheartened that a race was stolen between the two of them. F1, it looks like, have shot themselves in the foot with this regulation. But in the end, the rules are the rules. And I feel that the FIA had their hands tied. Because, again, it did force a driver to brake in an unsafe manner. So they have to abide by the rules. And that's the end of the story. So we move on to France, round 8. And it looks like now that hopefully Ferrari can kick on and really challenge Mercedes, because that's now 7 out of 7 for Mercedes. And we didn't think that at the start of the season. We really didn't. Yeah, let me know what you think about the incident. Do you agree or disagree? Did you agree with the decision by the FIA? Did you disagree? Let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments below, and like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you guys later.